Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Je Vaughn Show. Welcome to the absolute best program to watch during a presidential debate. This is the alternative. We are alternative programming. There is no other place you want to be. Right now, right here, we've got it going on. For my guest this evening, I normally do all this talking and preambling and all this rambling and nonsensicalness, and I usually make up a word or two in the intro, but I'm not going to do that today. We've got royalty on the other side in the studio. We've got a young man who he knows what a fax machine is, and he's one of the greatest gospel music writers of all time. So, I mean, without further ado, what else is there to do but bring on the David Frazier? Mr. Frazier, sir.
How are you? Glad to be with you today.
Young man, welcome to the Je Vaughn Show. Thank you for taking time out of your busy, I'm sure, ridiculous schedule to come and hang out with a little young man. Where am I in Dallas?
I'm honored. I'm honored that you shared your platform with you. I'm glad to be with you.
I don't even know where to go with you, Mr. Frazier. Again, you are what they call royalty. I believe they have a statue of you in New York somewhere, and if they don't, then they should take down one of the other ones, put it right in the middle of the Central Park, and that's where you should be represented. For those, we're going to ask the question that we ask in every single Je Vaughn Show interview to begin with. Let the people know in your own words, who is David Frazier?
I am David Frazier, and I've been blessed to write and be a songwriter in gospel music for around 30 years or so. I've written a lot of Bishop Hezekiah Walker's top songs like Second Chance and How Much We Can Bear and I'll Fly Away and Power Belongs to God and We Made It, It Shall Come to Pass. Of course, the church anthem, I Need You to Survive. I've been blessed to write and record with other artists as well. Karen Clark Sheard, Yolanda Adams, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Colorado Mass Choir, Jonathan Nelson, James Hall. And then, of course, I've been blessed to do my own music as well, too. My Psalms, Hymns, and Spiritual Song series, songs like Favor. And I recently did Ricky Dillard, New G, nominated for a Grammy for Release and Making Room. And just I'm still making music. Got some new music coming out 10 days, 11 days.
Once you get into celebrity status, what is the drive to keep going and to keep making music? Because isn't there a point, or has there been a point where you're like, you know what? I've written the classics. I've written the songs that everybody in a church choir or a praise team is singing. I'm cool now.
Well, I think it has more to. I don't know about celebrity status, but I do know about when you're called to do something, when you're anointed to do something, when you have the grace of God to do something, you always look for opportunities to do it. And anytime opportunities present itself for me to share something, for me to do something that's connected with songwriting or producing or making music, blessing people, I think that's important. I think that's what keeps me vibrant, excited, energized is those opportunities.
The first one of the songs that you mentioned, I Need You to Survive.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know what place you were in, and I'm not talking about like mentally or emotionally, but like the kitchen. Were you in the pantry? Were you laying in bed, about to wake up, or about to go to bed? Where were you when that song hit you?
Well, I Need You to Survive has a funny story, and I'm going to try to get through it in about 3 or 4 minutes.
3 hours. I'm here for all of it.
I had been writing some songs for Bishop Walker for a while before the second Family Affair record. Power Belongs to God was still pretty strong. And he called me and said, I'm getting ready to do another Family Affair record. Could you come by the church and show me some songs? And I went by the church. I showed him a song called "We Made It," which was the first song on the Family Affair record, and that's the Tell Bin Laden "We Made It" song, and he loved that song. And I showed him another song because he was recording another smaller group called Love Unlimited on that record as well too. And then I said, "Well, Bishop," and he was pastor then. I said, "I wrote this song. We sing it at my church. Like when service is about to close, and I just want to show you this song." So I played "I Need You to Survive" for him, and he said, "I don't know about that song. Wow. It doesn't have a 3-part harmony. We've never recorded a song like that before. It's slow. I don't know." He just kind of gave me a bunch of reasons why we shouldn't do it. And I had been doing it at my church in Brooklyn to close services. I wrote it while my pastor was preaching about 1 Corinthians 12th chapter about the body of Christ and how each joint supplies. And he said in the middle of his message, reach over and touch somebody and say, "I need you. You need me." And from that little engaging statement, I wrote the whole song before service was over, and I asked, could I sing it at close? And I showed the church, and we started closing with it every Sunday after service. So when Bishop Walker called me, I had done it, a couple of weeks already, at the church. So I thought it was something good. But anyway, he loved "We Made It." He didn't like "I Need to Survive." About a month later, he had a service at his church where he had some of the record company people come because he wanted to introduce some of the new music. And I'll never forget, Karen Clark Sheard was there at the church. She had sang, and he asked me to come to the organ. We made it. Oh, the crowd was hype. Everything was great. And then I got up off the organ, went and sat down. He said, "Where'd David go? Wait, come back to the organ. Let's do that Survive song." So did the "I Need You to Survive," and we must have sang it for about an hour and 15 minutes. And it wiped out the whole church, everything. And he just looked over at me and kind of shrugged his shoulder like this. And I looked at him and I said, the same thing. And, the rest is kind of history. It was recorded in September right after. Well, it was supposed to be recorded in September, but September 11th happened. The World Trade Center got, of course, destroyed. And then so they moved the recording to the last week, October, first week in November, I guess. And we recorded the song in Radio City, and he dropped the screen and showed scenes from the World Trade Center while we sang "I Need You to Survive." It was amazing time, amazing moment. People were just kind of messed up. And he had like the families of people that lost their lives in the World Trade Center there. So that's where it started. The song was recorded, and now it's in hymnals. It's been performed by the Boston Pops. It's been performed at the Republican National Convention, Democratic National Convention. It's been on the Oprah Winfrey Show. It's just gone. It's been in 3 movies. It's just kind of crazy, like how people gravitated to the message of this simple monochromatic kind of song, but it has touched so many people all over the world.
Was that one of the first times someone didn't believe in a song that you wrote that went on to become huge?
No. And as a songwriter, you kind of have to take that comes with the territory, because sometimes people can't see past maybe a simple moment of a thought, but later on they can kind of see it after people respond to it. This happens to me all the time, especially if I'm teaching new music to groups or something like that. Yeah, it's always like, oh, I don't know about this. Oh, I don't know about that. And then after they do it, it's like, wow.
And what's the one word answer or the one phrase that you give to them when they doubt it? Like, do you be like, "I need you to survive"? Anyway, do the song. Or do you be like, well, all belongs to God. Do the song.
Well, this is the little rub about music and creating music. This is the little rub. There will be people that believe in it from the gate, and there will be people that not a little skeptical from the gate, and you have to give it some time. And all dreams are not realized right away. Some dreams you gotta revisit it a couple of times for it to come to pass. So
Do you ever just randomly text Bishop Walker and just say you're welcome and just leave it at that? Like no context, no, like there's nothing else really that I needed to tell you today. And maybe he'll reply back like, "Hey, Frazier, what's going on?" And you'd be like, "Just you're welcome." That's all I had to tell you was you're welcome.
Would you believe? I kind of live pretty simple. The greatest thank you, the greatest gratitude, the greatest feeling in the world is when someone comes up to me and gives me a testimony about a song, and not necessarily I Need to Survive, but any song that they were blessed by, that something phenomenal took place when the song was played or sung. And that's just amazing to me. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So me and Bishop Walker are friends. We've been friends for over 30 years. So I don't go at him like that. I just kind of when I show him a song, he listen a little closer now.
I'm sure even people like Mr. Dillard, if you bring when you brought Release to him, was there a moment did he just say, "Oh, okay, David, listen y'all, David wrote it, so we doing it"? Is it one of those moments, or do you still even today have to try to convince somebody to say, "Hey, but I am David"?
Well, I like I said again, I think first of all, to have the opportunity to share music is a blessing in and of itself. I talk to songwriters all the time. Hey, how do I get somebody to listen to my music? How do I get somebody to listen to my song? Blah, blah, blah. So to be able to text somebody or send somebody a video of me on the piano singing or something like that, and then I get the text message, that's all I needed. We on. It's on. Thank you, or something like that. That's like the opportunity is the blessing, not necessarily what happens afterwards. And sometimes, great things happen. Sometimes, it's always just great to have the opportunity. So I'm blessed to have it.
I talk to writers all the time, and I've never been able to not get this question answered. So I'm going to ask it to one of the greatest writers of all time. Has there ever been a song where you just didn't like it? Like you wrote it, you knew that it came from above, and you put it out there, and you were like, I don't like it, and yet it still took off. You don't have to name the song, but can you think of that song that even to this moment right now you're thinking about it like, what?
Well, I think first of all, I guess I've had a different upbringing as a writer. Like I started writing at church, my home church, as a youngster. And my choir would sing a song I wrote, and my bishop would have a microphone near his chair. And if it was something that he liked, he'd go, "All right," and he'll start clapping. And then if it was something that he didn't like, it would be like, "All right." So, I mean, you kind of work through before anybody hears a song, before anybody gets an idea or thought, I've worked through it. I feel good about it. And I don't just throw people just random things. I really try to make sure that I've covered my bases, and I know some of the formulas of things that work. Now, of course, we have preferences, we have radio, we got how record companies handle the music and stuff like that. I don't really get too much involved with that, but I try to give people a quality message that plays by the musical rules, and some that don't will rub against it, but still feels good. I try to make sure it feels good for me first, and then hopefully for someone else.
Do you get final say so or approval before it's released? Like, do you get to say no, bring up them horns, or why is all that organ in there? You don't. You just give it and release it.
I try my best to give people an arrangement or a thought of how it should go, and in some cases, there are little minor things that change. But I think overall, you have to give people better ideas so they don't just take everything apart and rebuild it and stuff like that. So I try to give people maybe 80 to 85% of what I was trying to say. Like Release just was all done. Power Belongs to God was what I played when I first taught it. I Need to Survive is exactly the way I initially played it. Even some of the other things, How Much We Can Bear, that's the way I taught it. I taught it playing how it should go. So, because I play, I guess I have another little advantage over some writers that don't play or don't do the musical arrangements. And even now, my current music, like I'll play music through to a producer or someone who I'm going to use on the record to do the arrangements and stuff like that. And then they'll send me back some stuff how they feel about it. And I'll say, well, you might need to adjust this. This is going to rub against this, but everything else I like. And then we can kind of start working with production. So that's how I make records. I start out with my basic idea, and I may have some music coloring that needs to be expanded. And then I get an expanded version back, and then I can kind of manipulate it.
When you're doing a song like How Much We Can Bear, a choir song has the parts in it. When you sit there and write it, do you hear all of that color in your head? Like
Yes.
When it drops down? So
Yes.
you can hear vibratos and you can hear how they're bouncing off of each other and all of that.
Well, you don't hear I guess church stuff, but you know where it's going. And that's the thing. I think I really try to write songs where I know where it's going to end up. And so if you know where it's going to end up, that's kind of an advantage. I think some people write and they don't really know, they just kind of throwing thoughts and ideas out. But I kind of figure those, like How Power Belongs to God, How Much We Can Bear, they all got these kind of vamps that keep going, keep building, keep getting strong. So I kind of know that, and so I'm gauging my song with verses and choruses and bridges and stuff to get to a place where it keeps going. And that's that Brooklyn thing. I can't take no credit for it. That's the Brooklyn bounce. That's the thing that makes New York, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, the Bronx, it gives us that kind of uniqueness where songs just keep going higher, the energy keeps building. That's that Brooklyn thing. So I'm grateful to be able to interpret that and to express that musically.
Has anyone ever come to you to try to redo or remake or reimagine any of your songs to where you just said no?
No, I've never said no. And that's only because of the fact that imitation is the ultimate flattery. So you want people to, especially overseas, there's a lot of people re-recording a lot of the classics, and gospel music and choir music is huge overseas. When I was in Sweden a few years ago, I had 1,300 singers in Stockholm, the largest gospel group ever, choir assemble. There was more people in the choir than there were people to come see the event. So then I went from Stockholm to another city, Gävle, was 900 singers there. I flew to Gothenburg, Sweden. There was another 1,500 people there, all singers in churches. So it's really, really big overseas. And so you get to a point where just people wanting to sing your songs that's what it's all about. They may not get it right, but that's okay. I'm glad you tried. I'm glad you considered me. That's the greatest form of flattery.
Is there any intimidation writing for writers? So for instance, when the song released with Tiff Joy has a pen that is phenomenal. And you said that the way that you delivered the song is exactly how it was sung. Is there any intimidation in something like that to present a song to a songwriter to sing as a songwriter?
The challenge for me is not necessarily intimidation. I just think when people in a creative world, in a creative atmosphere, I don't think there's a lot of intimidation. Now you can become a little starstruck. The message I got from Donald Lawrence a couple of days ago was kind of like, oh wow, or when you get in feedback or something favorable said about something that you did, you kind of feel away. But I think going into circles, I'm confident in what I have. And
Mm.
so I'm going in with a confidence. I did a song some years ago called Holy Thou Art Holy on Karen Clark Shear's Finally Karen album. And I never forget just going to a church, an empty church, and it's me and Karen Clark Shear and a piano.
Wow.
And so I'm already feeling away like I'm with the Clarks. I just want to start playing like all her songs, but I just get right to it. I start playing the song, showing her the song, and she just burst into tears and just said, you know, I just wish my mother was here would be alive to hear me sing this song. Was her kind of music. So, you know, I've kind of experienced a lot of really wow moments with people, but in a creative atmosphere, you know, if you're there, you got what it takes. If you make it into the room, listen, you just got to just do what you do.
That's such inspirational. Speaking of inspiration, though, who inspired you, or who maybe inspires you today?
Wow, I am a music student. I am a constant student of music, and I say that uh, um, just because I listen to a lot of things. I feel like listening is learning,
Mhm.
and so I think early on when I first started writing, I was a big Edwin Walter Hawkins, Andre Crouch, uh, um, anything coming out of Detroit, from
Mhm.
Whitfield, Rudy Stansfield, Craig Brothers, uh, then the Winans Commission. Michael Brooks was a good friend of mine who wrote a lot of great songs. Then Chicago, anything coming out of Chicago, the Brunsons, Father Hayes, anything like that. And then growing up in New York, I mean, who wrote better songs than Timothy Wright, J.C. White, Carl Williams, Butch Haywood, Alfred White, Benny Cummings. You know, it even the person that actually mentored me is a Bishop Michael Rogers, Bible Way Church, Bible Way Radio Choir. I mean, between Bible Way, Timothy Wright at Washington Temple, and everything that was going on at 170 Adelphi Street, I was empowered. I was inspired. I had the blueprint, and the blueprint. Once you get the blueprint, you know, you just got to just put the work in. You know, of course, like the James Halls and the Vincent Bohannons and stuff came later. Even Bishop Hez, you know, Donnie McClurkin, they kind of came later. Pastor Donnie McClurkin, they came later. But the blueprint, Timothy Wright, J.C. White, Carl Williams, Butch Haywood, Michael Rogers. Yeah, I mean, it didn't get no better than that. But they pointed me to the Edwins and the Andres, the West Coast marrying East Coast. You know, that was, I think, for me, that's music for me, and I think I create from that base. Now, from another side, I am a big, huge James Taylor fan.
Hmm.
I have every James Taylor record ever made, and James Taylor just taught me how to write subjective music. I have a thing where, you know, you can, if you're a writer and you're creative, you can get stuck in subject matter that's just repeated over and over and over and over again. But James Taylor could write a song about a lamp, and you just be like, oh yeah, you didn't realize it was so much about a lamp, you know. So he's just that guy, you know, and it's very melodic. So
Yeah.
started writing more subjective music and also picking subject matter that hasn't been sung. I have a thing where I talk about you have to sing the songs that have never been sung. You gotta, and that's what makes the music unique. So I try to look for things that haven't been said. My new single is called Until the Whole World Sings, but I did a Google search to make sure that there wasn't another song that was Until the Whole World Sings. And believe it or not, I'm the only person with that song. There's Until the Whole World Hears and Until the Whole World Sees, but not Until the Whole World Sings. So again, you know, this writing and being creative is one of those things you got to you just can't throw things out into a world that's so full of stuff. You got to give people a new path. You got to give people a new something, you know, you got to say what hasn't been said. You got to sing what hasn't been sung. You know, that's my thing.
Speaking of new paths, are you leading a path of new writers? Do you have people right now that you're mentoring, artists that are coming up to maybe be that next generation of gospel, either be singers, writers, producers?
I am doing a lot more uh, like teaching as far as from a songwriting perspective, master classes. I hate to use that word master class because I'm still learning, but giving people some thoughts and giving people some tips,
Mhm.
and then helping new writers with their revenue streams, with their publishing, with their organization, because it's hard to right now with streaming and no more physical record sales, or at least not a lot. Um, Writers have to be really careful of publishing and copyright and streaming and licensing and stuff like that. So I'm doing a lot of those. I'm going to begin a maybe like a 5-week session, but I do them pretty often, just randomly.
Oh, that's awesome. I I could, and I'm looking. I keep looking at the time because I'm like, I want to just draw more out of this conversation because I know that there's people that are going to be watching this and going, okay, but how did he get there? What was his inspiration? Did his mama teach him how to play? Did his daddy whoop him with an extension cord and it made him sing better? And do like what was? It seems as if, based off of what I remember, being able to get from your history, that you had a pretty good upbringing, that you were loved and cared for. You knew you were loved, and you just happened to be extremely talented with a great pen. Am I right on that?
Well, I think the thing that's missing in that narrative is that I was a church boy. I was a church boy. Like I had a chance to go to my church that I grew up in a few months ago to give a tribute to the pastor who turned 90 years old, Bishop Apostle Huey L. Rogers, there Bible Way 261. And I started out when I was handed the mic to speak. I told people that I was born on that. You see that pew over there, 3 pews from the back on the left-hand side. I was born right there. And I started singing. I remember the first song that I sang in church. I made a vow to the Lord. I stood up. They put me up on a chair, gave me a microphone. I remember playing the drums at 11 and 12, and playing the bass at 12 and 13, and playing the piano at 14 and 15. And one Sunday, Michael Rogers asked me to come from the piano to the organ. He said, put your left hand up here, put your right hand down here. I'll show you the rest. I'll show you what to do with the pedals later. And I mean, I'm a church. I don't really have a whole lot of stories outside of church. And like I said, church was development for me. It taught me how to not just love God, but love the music.
Mm-hmm.
And just when you love the music, you also very careful about what you consider to share with other people. So, as far as upbringing, I was a kid, church kid. I snuck to the club sometimes because I just wanted to see what was going on. I snuck, rap music was really popular in Brooklyn coming up. So I had friends who, Terminator X and Jay-Z and different rappers was getting haircut where I got my haircut. It's urban. Brooklyn is very urban.
Yeah.
I remember Jam Master Jay was a good friend of mine. He called me in to play in different sessions. Other things going on in the city. Of course, I was a sports guy. I played basketball, football, baseball, but I really love music. So I had to kind of divide my time with that. And I was the only one in my family that, after taking piano lessons, continued to play. My mother taught piano and she got frustrated with me and my brother. She wasn't going to teach us no more. And then she sent me to a lady who taught me ear training and theory. And I put it down. I wanted to be a drummer, but again, you get something inside you. We didn't have as many distractions as people have now. So
Right.
yeah, you get in and you start doing it, and then you start loving it. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have like the tumultuous kind of, and I'm not that kind of a writer either. I hate to say it. I'm not casting a dispersion on anyone. that writes that way. Like I was, they had this traumatic experience and then they wrote this song and I don't write like that. I'm more of a subjective writer, which means I'm looking for opportunities in a church service to write a fellowship song, or I'm looking to write an offering song, or I'm looking to write an altar call song, or a hymn, or an anthem, or just something. The main selection that the choir sing, I want to write that, and that's basically been the sum total of my writing.
So that takes me to another question, and then I promise I'm going to leave you in a moment. Where music was when you started, how you were part of the transition of music, and where music is now. Do you want to be part of the future of gospel music, and where do you see that future going?
I think that's a great question. I think when people start talking about the future of gospel, I think it kind of alludes to the notion that you've got to do something different from the blueprint to be successful. And I think a lot of I think there's a wave going on where everything is going backwards to the essence. I think I think the younger ones, especially choir heads, they're going backwards. They're going backwards to grab what was done then. Now, future, I think it's funny how things go in a circle. I'm looking at Kirk Franklin, the reunion tour, and that is supposed to be like reflective of something futuristic, or maybe the Maverick City tour. But I see on the reunion tour, they singing "Running Back to You," and that's 30 years old. So, and they got the Clock Sisters on there, and they gonna sing. They ain't singing nothing they made last year or the year. They singing Running Back. So I just think when we talking about future, I think we really mean foundation. And I think great music is always going to build on the foundations. And I think there's some guys that's trying to do newer expressions. I just think at the end of the day, it's always going to fall back onto the foundations. It's going to fall back onto the cornerstones. So.
Yeah, and I'm very critical. Like I said, I grew up in Chicago. I grew up around gospel music, and listening and sitting in on Ricky Diller rehearsals and Mark Hubbard, Don Lawrence, and all them other people around me. And then, I'm old. Like we talked about earlier, I know what a fax machine is. I keep looking at my son. But it's just some of the new stuff. It's just be like, okay, okay. Can I just get "Won't He Make You Clean Inside"? You can repeat it for 30 minutes, and I would prefer that over this, or need just "Power Belongs to God." Give me those. Give me some substantive gospel music where I can rock my head to, and maybe not every other performer being in the cowboy boots and cowboy stirrups and stuff like that on the Stellas. But again, I'm new.
I still think at the end of the day, whether it's always going to revert back to something classic at some point. You got to kind of get through the smoke and the mirrors and get to the classic. And I think I tried to, I recently recorded a song with a not necessarily a new artist, but an emerging choir they're going to release. And it's just amazing sometimes when you can hear something that you wrote interpreted but done right. Without, I didn't really have to say too much about how it was approached and the arrangement and stuff like that. I just think great music is, great songs live on their own. Great music lives on its own, and you can keep the new people got to keep putting out something new to feel like they're relevant. But I just think, some stuff is always going to be around, and I try to stick with classic formulas. Personally, that's how I approach it.
And I'm going to keep playing your music, sir. But as we end, can you please tell us about the new song, the new project? What is the goal of the song? Where do you want to take it? And are you finally taking your place as the rightful king of gospel out of New York?
Well, I don't know about the king, but I definitely am a student, and if people, hopefully, people are blessed. I've done 4 psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs projects. Um, the first one had a song on there called "His Presence Is Here to Heal," which Bishop Jakes recorded, Yolanda Adams recorded. The second one had a song called "Show Yourself Mighty, Show Yourself Strong" on there, that was recorded by Bishop Jameson, GMWA. The third one was "Favor." I'm walking in the favor of God. It was on there. That's I guess my first studio, real big studio record. The fourth one had a song called "God Is Doing Something Wonderful in Me," which sung in a lot of churches around the world, really. So I'm up to number 5 now, and the 5th record is called "Grace Songs." 5 is the number of grace. So this is 8 or 9 songs on this particular project. My Psalms, Hymns 5, and the I'll just warn you, this record is got a lot of different things on it. There's an anthem on here. There's a lot of vocal and piano pieces where people can really hear where the music goes. There's churchy old school devotional. There's praise and worship. There's a lot of different colors on this record for number 5. But the single "Until the Whole World Sings" is totally different from what you hear on radio today because there's no lead. You are the lead. You learn it, you sing it for yourself, and that's what people say, when they hear it. It's not very long. It doesn't have the trappings of what's out here today, and it feels different. It feels like gospel music used to feel like, and that's was the purpose of it. I've got great musicians on this record: Jonathan Dubose, Cedric Thompson, John Paul McGee is playing, who is the head of piano performance at Berklee College of Music. He's playing on my anthem. Man, just a lot of great. I did all the vocals in Nashville. Kevin Kelly is one of the producers on the record. I even have an R&B sounding song on the record. I wrote a song called "I'm Sorry," and "I'm sorry" are the 2 words that Christians are the hardest for Christians to say to one another. So I wrote a song, and that's my little take on a Usher song or a secular kind of a vibe. But another great producers on the record, Raymond Darius Jackson. So Kevin Kelly, Raymond Darius Jackson, and then I got Pastor Johnny Brown, who had that viral video, "God Made It Fail," that went all over the world and stuff. So he's singing a song on the record called "Finish with the Victory," just old school, churchy with the trombone and everything. So yeah, it's a lot of different things on this record. I just hope people will find the things that they like and embrace it, and because that's how we have to make music now. We just can't make one thing. We got to make a little bit of everything, give people that jambalaya, and hopefully they find pieces that keep them encouraged. So yeah, Grace Songs, Psalms, Hymns number 5 comes out on the 20th of this month. September 20th is release day, and Until the Whole World Sings is out right now, available everywhere on all outlets and stuff like that.
And I need everybody right now to just go ahead and purchase it. Don't just download it, because that's for them, and y'all to actually go purchase it and support the ministry. Those 2 words, I'm sorry for keeping you a little bit over our time, but for those who want to get to know more about David Frazier, how do they get connected with you? How do they get to be able to say, hey, I need a song, or hey, I've survived because of you? How do they contact you?
Well, I'm on socials. I'm on Facebook at David Frazier, and then David Frazier the Sec, 2 capital I's, and also David Frazier Music on Facebook. I'm on IG, David Frazier 1. I'm on X as Dave's Lyric. And I'm pretty easy to find. Dave's Lyric at me.com is my email. Dave's Lyric, DAVESLYRIC at me.com. And send me an inbox. I should mention this, that I have an upcoming songwriter session that I'm doing on the 23rd of September. You can go on Eventbrite and register for that. I'll be talking about songwriting tips, publishing, licensing, revenue streams, becoming a working songwriter, and I'll be answering questions. So it's called Until the Whole World Sings, songwriting session with David Frazier. Eventbrite, just go in there and just put Until the Whole World Sings with David Frazier. And you have to register to be a part of that. And that'll give me a chance to kind of just share with people that want to write songs, that are already writing and trying to find out why they're not getting any money. And then all those kinds of questions, I want to kind of answer them and hopefully empower people to keep creating. So that's what we're doing. Again, great songs. September the 20th, 10 days away. And I'm excited. I'm excited at the feedback of Until the Whole World Sings. And I'm just excited. And I got other music coming. I got new Bishop Hez music coming. I got new Darwin Hobbs music coming. I got new Bishop Brian Moore and Life Center Choir music coming. I got some music coming down the pike with other people, new Ricky Dillon, just different projects I've been blessed to work on. And listen, we're going to keep on rocking it. In 2025, I want to get this Grammy, I want to get this Stella, and then I'm going to retire.
I'm gonna get a pony while you're at it too. I'm glad to see that you're not just sitting on your success, that you are really, you've got it still inside of you. You're sharing it with the world. That's amazing, sir. Absolutely amazing. Do you have potentially 90 more seconds for me?
Of course.
Then let's do it. Sir, it's the lightning round. It's real simple. I'm going to ask you a question. It's what do you want, this or you want that? Don't think about it. Just the first thing that pops in your head. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Starting off easy. Do you prefer radio or podcasting?
Podcasting.
Perfect answer. Worst question ever asked in an interview?
What's my favorite color?
We all know it's black. Least favorite song you've ever heard?
Ooh. Wow. I can't say it because it's somebody.
Okay, I'll answer for both of us. Order my steps. Definitely. Last movie or show you watched and loved?
I just seen something that's pretty good. Average Joe. I believe it's on Netflix or Prime.
Plus. And Netflix too. Great show. Fantastic show. I loved every moment of it. Tequila or bourbon?
Tequila.
Any upcoming songs about Balaam?
None.
You did small. Listen, you're a great writer. I know you can speak on. Never mind. We'll talk about Balaam. House. No, that's not for you. The after show. What will you be doing immediately after this show?
I am going to find something to eat and create a music track for a new commercial about the new record.
And you sure you can't just sneak in something there about Balaam? Answer. Moving on. Uber Eats or DoorDash?
DoorDash all day.
Better discounts on Uber Eats. Spades or dominoes?
Spades. I am the king.
Do you have 5 on the possible?
I got all books. I'm shutting everybody down. Everybody's going into renege. Everybody going into renege.
Do you prefer washing dishes or clothes?
Clothes.
Your last non-entertainment job?
Now, someone very close to me will laugh at me when I say this, but I used to work in Macy's on 34th Street in the Esprit department, Esprit, folding clothes. That was one of my last employment jobs.
Wow. Back in 1994?
Before.
Don't think about it. Tick, tack, or toe?
Oh, tick.
All day. Grits, cheese, sugar, or both?
Cheese, salt, and pepper, butter. No sugar.
Pepper?
Got to do a little pepper. Got to have a little spice in your life.
Oh, okay. Pepper. Snap, crackle, or pop?
Snap.
All day. Crack it. Grammy or Stellar?
It's not even a issue. Everybody wants the Grammy.
Everybody wants the Grammy. Even Jay-Z can't get a Grammy. But no, he got one now.
No, he got
everybody should get a Grammy. My last question, and then we're out of here. Get me together. What do I need to be doing better in my life? You don't know me. We've never had a conversation besides this podcast, but go ahead, speak, take what energy you are receiving in this moment and get me together. What should I be doing better?
I think that you should always have Melissa on the podcast with you.
That is a suggestion I have received to that question. And that is why he's the best. Ladies and gentlemen, David Frazier, greatest songwriter of all time. Not just gospel, but it goes David Frazier, Michael, and then Prince. Mr. Frazier, I appreciate you for all your contributions, for every song that you've given us, and for the new music that's to come. Congratulations, sir.
Again, thank you for having me here, man. This has been a blast, and let's do it again once the record comes out, and so you can give me your critique.
Well, I'm from Chicago, as I've mentioned 7 times, and the one thing that we love to do is introduce an artist on an album. So if you need somebody to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, David Frazier," I got you.
So let me do a listening. I'm gonna do a listening party in Chicago, and you're gonna be the host.
Well, I'm in Dallas now, so you have to come to Dallas.
Okay.
And so that just gives you a reason to come to Dallas and stop by Houston, hit Tulsa, New Orleans, Nashville, Atlanta, and we've pretty much finished the tour. I think we're there. I think we've done what we need to do. God's people are happy. Sir, thank you so much. I will see you in Dallas soon. I'll see you in Chicago. And then if we don't see you there, I'll see you when I get to New York. Ladies and gentlemen, that's David Frazier. I'm Je Vaughn Martin. This has been a special edition of Alternative Programming to the Debate, which, hey, congratulations, Trump. You killed it. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Andy.